As lakefront property in Central Texas becomes more and more lucrative, experts say people are beginning to see the value of the land under the water too. KXAN investigators found out you may not always own the land around your home or property. This week on Inside the Investigations, investigative reporter Avery Travis shows us how one property dispute on Lake Buchanan led our team to look into the rising stakes for homeowners. And good morning to all of you out there. Thanks for joining us here on Inside the Investigations. I'm Will Dupree, coming to you from the KXAN Live studio. We appreciate you being with us, and we are going to do a deep dive into one of the stories that is making headlines over the investigative section of our website, KXAN.com. Usually I'm joined by my co-host, investigative reporter Kelly Wiley, but she is out today, and fortunately, in her place, we are bringing in investigative reporter Avery Travis, who is going to talk about her story today. Avery, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. I don't know if it's fortunate. I bet you guys are going to miss Kelly a lot, but you're stuck with me today.
We always appreciate a guest, and this is a good one, too. I'm going to bring up really quickly the headline for your story. This is, again, available on KXAN.com. But Avery, let's first dive in right here. For the last month, you've been looking into a tip about a lakeside community dealing with a dispute over some property. Explain to us what's happening there.
Yeah, well, this story actually came into our investigative team as a tip. And often what we like to do is when we get a tip about one case, it raises questions about, questions that other people may have. It may not just be isolated to one case. So that's what we were really trying to look into here. We were introduced to a man named Art Bernovic. He bought a sliver of land off of Lake Buchanan several years ago and since has been building a boathouse, as he calls it. Really had some grand plans for the place and hopes. What's important to understand about Art's property and what it really took us going out to see it is that a steep rocky hill makes up a lot of that property. And so what he really did was started with building a dock where that hill levels out. He told us, he knew that the area wouldn't be filled with water all the time as the water comes into the cove, the kind of, cove off of the east side of the lake where he lives. It goes up and down, as we know our lakes do with rain and drought. But, he said it was his slice of paradise, his dream, as he called it. He's told us that he, did his due diligence. He checked with some regulatory authorities and learned that he really needed to understand who owned the land, the submerged land around his property. And he says through the course of his looking into it that he believed he would be given the opportunity to buy that land. We were, told later by the owner, someone who claims to be the owner of that submerged land, that they never intended to sell. And ultimately, the person who says they own that submerged land took Mr. Bernovic to court, and a judge signed off on a writ of possession, which basically resulted in Art's eviction off of that property.
I want to really focus in on that phrase, submerged land. That's maybe not something that a lot of people hear a lot about. So explain what that is and why it's important.
We really wanted to understand that as well, and we checked in with LCRA, the Lower Colorado River Authority, and other authorities who understand this stuff better than we do, right? So they gave us the definition of submerged land is anything under the contour line. That's kind of the high level of a lake. In Buchanan's case, it's called the 1020 line. You'll hear it referred to, or the contour line. That's because at 1,020 feet above mean sea level, that's the level at which the lake is considered full. And so really anything underneath that is considered submerged land. What's interesting about it is that, the Lower Colorado River Authority owns about 75% of the submerged land on Lake Buchanan. It varies among the Highland Lakes how much LCRA owns. When LCRA was speaking to us, they told us, they don't track the sale of that submerged land, though. So there are portions on some other lakes, large portions, the majority of the submerged land that actually belongs to other entities. And that could be private owners, entities and individuals, not governmental authorities. So it's not necessarily the person who owns lakefront or waterfront property who owns the kind of submerged land, the shoreline, and,